great to have with us all the way from Perth, Australia, Professor Harlene Hayne, Vice-Chancellor of the Curtin University. And our topic is the relevance of today's academic qualifications and whether they are fit to meet the needs of employers for the jobs of today and tomorrow. So, Professor, thanks for joining us. So great to have you here.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
How important is collaboration between academia and business and industry to come up with the right qualifications?
Well, I think it's important first to start with the huge increase in qualifications that are currently required to meet the needs of the industries of the 21st century. So, right now, I think by 2027, only 3% of the jobs will be able to be held by people who hold no qualifications. And by the same token, 75% of all of the new jobs by 2027 will probably require a bachelor's degree or more. So the requirement for people to get skills is moving at an exponential rate. So for us at Curtin, we've tried to address this huge need for upskilling and reskilling by making sure that our students are embedded in industry throughout their degree. So for us, the two ways that we can make sure that students are fit for the future is to make sure that we work with industry in developing our curriculum and that our students also have internships and work placements while they're studying.
Now, the World Economic Forum report says that by 2025, jobs will be split almost evenly between AI and humans. How do we humans and education specifically, how can we deal with that?
I think one of the things we need to be very well aware of is that there will still need to be a lot of humans doing work. And some of the professions that over the past 3 or 4 decades have been seen as primarily women's work or probably not as prestigious, like teachers and nurses and psychologists and other allied health professionals, all of those jobs will still need to be held by humans. So it's important that our universities are actually producing the right number of people to fill those jobs. And as you know, around the world, there are massive shortages of teachers, nurses, psychologists, etc. So that not all is lost. There will still be jobs for people in the future. And I think the other thing that's really important is that we don't have a huge understanding of what the world of work really will look like. There's a lot of empathy that's required in many of the jobs that we all do. In fact, your job requires understanding how humans behave and how they react. And so even in jobs where AI might assist, there will still need to be human components to that work.
I think for us, we rather threatened at this time by ChatGPT, some of us in our profession, and we have to get used to how to deal with that. So STEM, do you think STEMs will become more important?
Well, there has been a huge push towards STEM for a very long period of time. And at our university, we are very STEM focused. We are a university that has really grown out of the mining sector. And one of the interesting facts that I've learned as a Vice-Chancellor of Curtin University is that as we try to move to a carbon neutral future, we'll actually need more mining, not less, which means we will need more and more people who do understand STEM subjects. So we do produce a lot of STEM graduates each and every year. But by the same token, we still do need people who understand people. And so I think it's not an either or. And I think much of the discussion that's going on right now is all focused on STEM without thinking about all of the other skills and quite humane skills that we will still need going into the future.
Soft skills.
Indeed. I'm a psychologist, so I don't like to call them soft skills. I call them smart skills. And in fact, we do need to understand each other as people, and that will really require human empathy, which right now AI still hasn't been able to replicate.
Now, the humanities, still a role for the humanities?
Absolutely. Humanities is what makes our life worth living. And in all this discussion about what we need for our industries, which is really important, we also have lives, and all of us appreciate the arts. We appreciate literature. And so we still need those people who can produce those beautiful artistic products, who can understand and interpret our existence. So absolutely, the humanities are alive and thriving right now.
So Curtin is now as well getting very involved with Africa. How do you see this translating here to us in Africa?
It's really exciting for me because Curtin, we have a campus in Mauritius, which really puts us, an African country right on the doorstep of the continent. And one of the things that we're trying to do is to find those places of synergy between things that are important and interesting to Africa and those things that are important and interesting to Australia. And I've already mentioned mining, and obviously that's something that we all share in common. So we will be looking to a future of where we can share best practice across both countries. But there's a lot of other issues that we share in common. We share an interest in racial relations. We share an interest in peacekeeping. And so we're hoping that through the network, our university skills and the skills of the other Australian universities will be able to partner with our African counterparts to share our knowledge for a better world for all of us.
And how are you collaborating with how many African universities?
Well, actually, I knew you were going to ask me that. I think the goal right now is that we would get 15 universities from each country, and I think we're roughly around 13 and 14 from each. So we're getting close to 15 universities from Africa and as well as Australia.
Okay, and capacity in terms of systems and education and syllabi and stuff, curriculums. What do you think the situation is? Do we need to change?
Certainly in terms of the African academics that I've had the pleasure to meet since I've been here, we're all literally on the same page of trying to understand the world that we live in and to make it a better place for our children and grandchildren. So I'm sure that we will be able to share best practice. Some of that will come from Australia, but undoubtedly some of that best practice will also come from Africa as well.
And you do think that it is important to communicate with industry around what they need, the kind of jobs that they are going to need in the future as well? And
yeah, absolutely. I mean, Curtin is a very young university, but from its very beginnings, it has been a university that's been focused on jobs. We're very proud of the fact that we have the highest employment rate in Western Australia. Our students enjoy the highest starting salaries, and recently we were rated best in Australia by employers. So we really do firmly believe that providing the education for the future means working very carefully with industry to make sure that our students are job ready, they hit the ground running, and they not only have the technical skills that they need to succeed, but they also have all of those other smart skills of being able to work together in teams to solve problems, etc.
Our problem here is that we have such an enormous unemployment rate, and that we have to overcome that. And as well, part of the impetus for this is the correct schooling.
Absolutely.
Do you have that problem as well, or in Australia?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's probably a matter of degree rather than kind. We don't have a huge unemployment rate right now, particularly in Western Australia, where we have heavily mining and most people are employed. But that doesn't mean that we're not experiencing difficulties at the level of our high schools. One of the things that is concerning to many educators who are working in high schools is whether or not the curriculum is fit for purpose, whereas the universities, particularly our university, has been quite responsive to industry needs. High schools haven't necessarily moved at the same pace. Students are losing interest in the high school curriculum. They're very stimulated in other parts of their lives, and school hasn't necessarily caught up. But one of the things that we've done at Curtin is acknowledging that, is to provide transition programs for students who may not have succeeded under traditional curricula to ensure that they have the right skills that will still allow them entry into the universities. So I always say at Curtin, there's not one front door, there's 27 front doors, and we're there to help students make their way to university in whatever way they can.
And more, once you have your qualification and you enter the job market, you can't rely on that qualification. Absolutely. Your whole life. You need upskilling throughout your life.
Yeah. And we've got some wonderful programs at Curtin. We participate in the Open Universities Australia platform, which allows people to upskill, to reskill from the comfort of their own home through a very lovely integrated virtual platform. We also have micro-credentials, so people who are in employment but realize that they may not necessarily have the most up-to-date skills to do their job. They can do little bite-sized pieces of education that doesn't require them to take time off of work. So I think the university has been very responsive to some of these massive changes in the workforce so that we can provide the kind of education for the future generations or people like us who might want to change our profession at some point in time.
Do you have a lot of people who change mid-career or midlife into something different?
And at Curtin, I mean, only 50% of our students are actually school leavers. The rest of them are people who have taken a break from education or who are coming back. So we're very familiar with adult education in addition to educating people who've come straight out of high school.
Professor Harlene Hayne, thank you so much for chatting to us.